Okay, here goes. To basically get to a point of being free of childhood wounds, which sometimes is referred to as the narcissistic wound that we were given in childhood. We need to be able to objectify and begin to look at our lives in a way which can be shadow work. So that means that we're digging deep and we're looking at what was said, how we were treated, and really get to grips with the feelings that were not felt when we were a child. Because many of us will disassociate as adults by, finding relationships where we become codependent, or we will use certain things to keep us out of that exploration of healing ourselves. And the way I see this is that in my own understanding of myself through my own wounds, that I am a soul, and whatever's going on here is that I definitely know that I have a soul on this planet and that I'm here for a reason, whatever that reason is. And through that, if I'm continuously going around suffering and not living out to my full potential, then life is going to be miserable. So when we begin to look at our own shadow and look at the beliefs that were handed down to us and given through generations, so often we can look at our own childhood and see the chaos in that. But generally, people who have given us chaos came from chaos, and they generally will not know any better. So to reparent ourselves is going to be a process of objectifying, of digging deep and doing our own inner work to get to a place of either satisfaction and peace within ourselves. And it's so different for everybody. Like, everybody is going to go their own route. And I found what maybe have been helpful to me is not particularly always helpful to other people. But one thing I do know, that through studying complex PTSD, the understanding of it and the psychoeducation of it means that when we begin to understand certain things like what flashbacks are, what grieving means, and what angering means, healthy angering, and we begin to look at our thoughts, and when we have people that we can talk to, we begin to heal. I see a lot, on social media where we are posting and we are integrated and communicating with each other, but there's very few conversations going on that are real, deep talks. And maybe one-to-one people are getting that, but I think also a lot of people aren't getting that, and that there's a lot of loneliness and anxiety and fear in our own space. So the other thing that we can do as well to heal is begin to look at our own structure, like how are we living our lives and what suits us and what doesn't, because we can be doing things and living in a way and eating foods or be around people that really are not supporting or nurturing. And we have to choose what is supporting and nurturing us. And again, this is going to take sometimes, speaking to somebody and brainstorming. And what we don't really need is a friend who's just going to sympathize with us and say, oh, you poor thing, you'll be okay, because that is not going to get us to the level that we need to be. We need people who are going to analyze a situation with us and not just agree with us, and really look at building balance and structure that allows us to live our lives to the full. So I hope this is useful, this information. I do, in my own healing, I studied Faster EFT, which I use. And it's sometimes with complex PTSD, I've found that one has to dig a lot deeper. So much of the surface stuff, and also with Neuro-Linguistic programming, we can take memories and we consolidate them and reconstruct them, so to speak. So if you have had a bad trigger, then basically that trigger can be softened by using the tapping, the Faster EFT. And what's happening when a memory is reconsolidated or reconstructed, it means that we're going back to the memory, we're looking at it, we're feeling what we felt, seeing what we saw, and we're tapping until we get a shift in how we see it and how we feel it. And often what I found, that it will not be on the day sometimes that you tap that you'll get the the restructuring or the reconstruction of it. It will be in the coming days or a week, where you'll then look back at what was a trigger and it's no longer a trigger. And I'll give you an example for me, which is a funny one. I was on a plane traveling to back to London from Croatia about 2 years ago, and there was a young girl sitting on next to me in the next seat. And what we had was that because on takeoff, I basically, you know, I get a bit of a flutter in me when I'm on a plane. So I was just sitting there in my seat tapping, and she asked me what I was doing. And I explained to her that what I was doing, it was tapping, and how it keeps the parasympathetic system under control so that you don't go into fight, flight, freeze, and how I found it really useful. And then I said to her, do you have any fears? And she said to me, yes. She said she doesn't like spiders. And what was interesting was, she said even the teeniest spider, like the really teeny spider, scared her, and that she couldn't even watch cartoons at home, and that her parents were going to send her to see a psychologist because they were worried when she went off to uni that she would have these huge problems and not be able to cope with this spider issue. So I said to her, do you want to try on this flight back? And she said yes, she was happy to go along with me. So I did my thing, and I took her to the memory of spiders and maybe a first memory. And then I changed the meaning of that spider, and I said to her, you know, the spider has a family, the spider needs love too. And then within that, what we were doing, I got her to imagine a little teeny spider in her hand. And I said, imagine opening a window, the spider's in your hand, and then blow the spider away. And then it's going to send out lots of sprinkles and love and light. And however crazy that was, she actually messaged me. I gave her my Facebook details. She messaged me and thanked me so much and said her parents were so shocked that I'd actually cured her spider phobia. But the beautiful thing getting to this was that with myself in the past, you know, I see a spider, not that I've got a huge fear of them, but who likes spiders in their house? Not many people. Now I can have a little spider crawling on a wall and I completely ignore it. So not only did it affect her working on that spider issue, it affected me. So it means that I can see a spider on the ceiling or on a wall and it won't bother me. I'll leave it there. Or in the bathroom, you know, you see these little baby spiders. So, you know, we can work on ourselves. It's a very useful tool to reconsolidate and reconstruct memories. And that's part of what I do. The other thing I do is that I mentor. I get people to do a 2 or 3 year plan ahead and get people to see how they can get to live their own lives in a purposeful, structured way, and also accounting that we're all so individual. You know, it's not about doing things the way other people do things. It's about finding our own way through life that suits us and our own structure. It's not about following the herd, so to speak. I hope this video is useful, and if you want a session with me or you want to see more of my videos, hit the notification button. And if you've got any questions, then you can question below or go to my Letting Go Techniques page on Facebook and message me there, or book a session with me if you've got a spider fear. I seem to have a knack with getting rid of spider fears. Okay, thanks for watching. Thank you.